All right, so we're back one last time here for this third and final part of this little RATS preparation mini series that I've put together. And in this final video, what I've done is I've broken down the 10 days of my actual planned ride itself. So I don't go into super granular detail of what I'm going to be doing at all parts of each day, but I basically just give you a high level overview, essentially the same thing that I've put together over on the website of here's where I'm going to start each day, here's where I'm going to end each day, maybe here's a few places along the way that I'm going to stop. So pretty high level, just so you can get an idea of what my days are going to look like. So with that, let's roll to the footage.
Let's move on to just talking about some very high level plans for the ride around the States, kind of day-to-day breakdown. I highly encourage you to go over to the website and look at the way I've kind of broken down my days. It's RATS48.com. I have all 10 days broken down. I will warn you that I've already changed some of the routes slightly on my end. I haven't updated the website on tiny minor changes that I've made, but some of the routes are not quite right, but for the most part, I'd say they're 98% correct. The first thing you'll notice about my daily routes is they definitely don't leave me a lot of time to do a lot of sightseeing. And I know a lot of people might shake their head at that and say, what, if you're gonna ride around the country, wouldn't you wanna like take your time and smell the roses? And I do get that, and I have a couple of shorter days in there, but to me, this is the way that I've decided I wanted to do it. I do want to try to do the 48 state challenge and try to finish it all in a certain time limit. And so I do have these very long days, and I did make sure to budget in a couple of stops along the way that are important to me. But for the most part, I'm going to be on the bike. I'm going to be on the bike a lot. When I do stop, it's going to be for gas or to eat or to fuel up, whatever. I'm not really going to be taking a lot of scenic stops, other than a few very specific ones that I've kind of made time for. So that's the first thing you're going to notice. The other thing you're going to notice is that the first 2 days are far and away the longest. I knew I was going to need a couple of long days, and I wanted to just kind of get them out of the way early. And then after those first 2 days, things kind of calm down a little bit, and I sort of get into the average of about 700 to 725 miles per day, which is still a lot of miles. It's a lot of miles, believe me, I understand. But the first 2 days are over 800, which is a lot. They're right around the 800 mark. So I'm gonna have to get up really early on that first day and really early on that second day. And they're gonna be long, long days in the saddle. But I also did budget in a break day. So I think it's day 4 is short. It's only 500 miles, which I know, short, 500 miles. But if I get up at normal time, sort of 5 a.m., and I head out on a 500-mile ride, you know, there's no reason I couldn't be done at 2 o'clock in the afternoon if I do it right. And I'm also going to be staying with family that night, which will be a nice change of pace. After that, sort of day 5 through 10, all of my remaining days are sort of in the 700s, but I also will be going back west, which means I'll be gaining some time from time zone changes, which is really nice. Gaining 3 hours across the ride. So I'm glad that I'm sort of losing a lot of my time in the beginning on the preparation rides as I make my way over to Kansas, and not on the ride itself. I will be losing 1 hour on that second day. So that's the last comment I'll make, is that day 2 of my ride is by far going to be the hardest. Really quick, I just want to run through the days. So day 1, I'm going to be starting in a town called Baxter Springs, Kansas. And I chose this town because it is at the very bottom corner of Kansas. So I can basically say I'm starting in Kansas and within like 5 minutes be in a different state. So I'm starting in Kansas, that's my official start state. And I immediately will be going into Missouri, down into Arkansas. I'll pop over into Oklahoma. I'll touch into Texas. Touch into Louisiana, and then end my day in Alabama. I think it's 8 states that first day, if I'm not mistaken, 7 or 8 states. Long day though, long day, and not all interstates, so some of those highways might be slower. I might get stuck in traffic. I'm gonna have to leave really early that day. The nice thing is the gas station in Baxter Springs is 24 hours. So if I leave at 2 in the morning, I should be able to get a receipt, no problem. I've really got to think about this receipt issue of like, if I'm leaving at 2 or 3 in the morning on any given day, there's a possibility that if I get gas before the gas station store is open and I don't get a receipt, I'm gonna have to find a backup gas station to get another fill up before I leave that state. So that could also add time and problems. So the thing that I'm trying to do is strategically set it up so that the gas station I hit first thing every morning is a 24-hour gas station, so that I don't have to worry about the store being open. Second day, we go up. We're going to start in Alabama, and very quickly we're going to touch into the far western panhandle of Florida. A tiny little gas station there, which this is one of my biggest risks, is that gas station being open and being able to get a receipt, because if I can't get a gas fill up and receipt there, I'm going to have to take a pretty substantial detour to get to another gas station. So that I'm very, very heavily leaning on that gas station being open. Then we leave Florida and we spend a huge portion of the day in Alabama, cutting up through the entire state, basically kind of northeast up through South Carolina and then into North Carolina, which is where we'll cut kind of up and over the Appalachian Mountains. Then we'll head up and take a purposeful detour up and over into Kentucky. So this is one of these, I'm literally just making a detour for the sole purpose of filling up in Kentucky. I'm not going to spend any time in Kentucky. I just need to touch the state and I need to get a receipt. So I'm going to pop up and over a mountain range, pretty ride, I've done it before, into the small town of Cumberland. And there are 3 gas stations there, so if I run into any trouble, I've got 3 options to fill up. But then I'm quite literally going to turn right back around and go back up and over into Virginia, down a whole series of back roads until we can get back over to Interstate 81, I think. And I'll end the day in sort of south central Virginia on Interstate 81. After that, things get a little less frantic. So day 3, leave Virginia, head north, and I've got a planned stop around the town of Winchester to do an oil change. Now the plan for the oil changes is that I'm going to do them myself, do the oil change, and then immediately turn around and return the oil to the AutoZone. So that whole process is probably going to take me an hour. I'm going to lose an hour that day doing that, but then continue heading north, finish out Virginia, quickly do Maryland, pop briefly into Harper's Ferry, which is West Virginia, and then make my way into DC. Now this is going to be the big question mark on the day, because DC traffic is a nightmare. And I'm hoping I hit it at the right time of day where I don't run into a huge problem. But I do want to hit DC. I know it's not a state, but to me it's kind of like an asterisk, and I want to hit it. So I want to do all 50 states plus DC. And I found a way where I can kind of loop around and get into the backside of DC, just a mile in to hit a gas station, and then immediately get the heck out of there because I want to get as far away from the city as possible, as quickly as possible. And I'm going to head east and go across the Chesapeake Bay. It is a toll road, but I'll have my Easy Pass mounted, so I should be set there. Head into Delaware briefly, and then into New Jersey. Briefly cross over into New York, and then turn into Connecticut, Rhode Island, and end the day in Massachusetts. So we're going to cover a lot of states that day. Next day is my short day. I'll leave the hotel in kind of the greater Boston area, head north, quickly get into New Hampshire, very quickly touch into Maine at the southern tip of Maine, but not spend any real significant time in Maine. I'm not going to go all the way out to like Quoddy Head or anything like that. Just spend a few minutes in Maine and then immediately turn back into New Hampshire and head my way over into Vermont, right near the town of Queechee, which is where I used to live. It's right across the river from Hanover, from Lebanon, that sort of area. So I'll take a few minutes to kind of visit my old stomping grounds, and then I'm going to immediately head into New York and eventually get on I-90 until I make it towards the greater Rochester area, which is where my family lives. So I'll end that 4th day in a little town called Webster, New York, which is just right outside of Rochester. Stay with family. Hopefully I get there early enough in the afternoon where we can have a nice dinner together and spend some time relaxing and catching up. Day 5 is going to be a lot of interstate. I'm going to get on I-90, continue to use my Easy Pass because I-90 is a toll road, and make my way down through Pennsylvania, Ohio. I'm going to stop briefly in Cleveland because that is also where I used to live. So I'm going to visit my old college where I went to undergrad, a school called Case Western Reserve University in eastern Cleveland. I'm going to kind of just ride around there, stop for coffee at my old coffee shop where I used to always go to do my homework. And then I'm going to go over to the west side of Cleveland, kind of near the airport, and stop really briefly to visit my old house that I used to live in. After that, I'm just going to head west. So I'm going to stay on I-90, go all the way west into Illinois, through Indiana. While I'm in Indiana, I'm going to pop up briefly into Michigan, just very briefly, to check that one off, and then we'll end the day in Illinois. Day 6, we'll leave Illinois, and we've got a very long day across Iowa, all the way across Iowa into Nebraska. Boy, I'm not visualizing the states in my head right now. And then we'll go up from Nebraska, briefly touch Minnesota. That's where I think we touch Minnesota. And then we go into South Dakota, and we'll end the day in a small town called Murdo, which is also about 5 miles short of the time zone change, which I did that on purpose so that the next day, first thing is I'll gain an hour back. So if I leave at 3, it'll immediately be 2, which is great because I want to spend a little time on that next day sightseeing. So on the next day, I'm going to go across South Dakota and then up, actually very briefly touch into Wyoming, gas station there, get a receipt, and then we'll go up South Dakota, visit the geographic center of the US, and then into North Dakota. If there's time, I might make a 40-mile detour to the high point of North Dakota. And I know that seems really silly, a big waste of time, but the North Dakota high point was one of my favorite high points of the 43 that I've done so far. So I might just go back and revisit that if I've got enough time. But after that, I'm just gonna head back down and into Montana, and the rest of the day will all be in Montana as I make my way over to Bozeman, and I'll be staying the night in the college town of Bozeman. Next day, we'll leave Bozeman, also cross another time zone, this time into Pacific, cross Idaho briefly, Coeur d'Alene, and then into Washington, kind of near the Spokane area, and we'll slowly kind of start looping our way down into Oregon. Cross into Oregon and end the day in a small town in Oregon called John Day. The next day, we'll leave Oregon, and this is the penultimate day, so day 9. What's kind of cool about day 9 is I'm only gonna see 2 new states. So I'm leaving Oregon, we'll pop into California, and then we'll pop into Nevada, and that's it. We'll spend almost the entire day in California and Nevada. And so then we'll end the day then in Ely, Nevada, and that will be our last sort of on journey stop, and we'll finish out the entire adventure. The last day we're going to leave Ely, make our way over into Utah. So we'll cross into Utah, and then we're basically going to beeline it down towards Four Corners. And I strategically did that because, well, Four Corners is a great place to just nail a lot of states all at once. So we're going to head down into Four Corners area, kind of loop quickly into Colorado near the Cortez area, and then pop down into New Mexico briefly, and then make our final turn into Arizona, into the very small town of Red Valley. And I say town, there is nothing in Red Valley. I can't stress this enough. It is literally half a mile across the border, and there's a gas station trading post there. And I'm gonna pull into that trading post, and provided it's open, that tiny diminutive Navajo Nation trading post will be where I end my entire 48 state challenge. Which is kind of a cool and fitting place to end. Not some gas station in some big city or something, but one of the most remote gas stations probably on the entire ride. My original plan was I was just gonna drive all the way home. But I think what I'll probably do is I've got a room booked just a few miles down the road, up and over Buffalo Pass in a place called Chinle. So I'm gonna stay the night in Chinle and assess what I want to do after that. If I want to just go straight home, if I want to kind of spend a few more days just on a much slower pace, adventuring around Four Corners area. I'm considering maybe turning around and going back into Colorado for a couple days. Or I may just say, I am done with this, I just want to go home. That's it, that's the breakdown. I'm going to be putting about 8,000 miles on the bike, on hopefully one set of tires, which is also a little bit of a risk. Are these tires going to be able to handle 8,000 miles? I don't know. We'll have to see. A whole slew of things that could go wrong. But that's what makes it an adventure, right? You just don't know. You just don't know. And why I think it is so exciting and such a challenge.
All right, well, there you have it. We're starting to wrap up these preparation videos. I've got a few more planned to put out in the next couple of weeks as we get closer to our actual departure date. A couple of maintenance videos, a couple other channel updates that I want to get out there, potentially a live stream, and then just all the final prep and shakedown ride logistics as we get all of our gear packed and ready to go. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this little mini 3-part episode. Take care, everyone. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.